This episode is brought to you by Undeniably Dairy. Dairy farmers are more than farmers. They're climate caretakers. They see water as a precious resource. Most farmers recycle water up to 4 times, from chilling the milk to irrigating the crops. And some even use technology to turn manure into renewable energy. To learn more about what dairy farmers are doing to make their farms more sustainable, visit usdairy.com.
If you are a lover of affirmations, or you've just heard about how powerful they can be, then you are going to love the Daily Affirmations for Women podcast, created by the Women's Meditation Network and hosted by the amazing Jodi Agard. Every morning, you'll receive an episode that is dedicated to one specific affirmation, so you can have the space to reflect on it and receive the power within it. Follow and start listening now to the Daily Affirmations for Women podcast on your favorite podcast player.
This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1891. Marriage is more than checking a box on your to-do list, by Kristen Manieri with Gottman.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to ORD, or Optimal Relationships Daily. I'm your host and narrator, Greg Audino, and it is great to be here with you today, equipped with a post from Gottman.com of the Gottman Institute, which is arguably the most expansive database on relationship research that the world has to offer. And in today's post, we will learn about how to bring more feeling to our marriages. So let's get right to it as we optimize your life. Marriage is more than checking a box on your to-do list, by Kristen Manieri with Gottman.com. I recently made a startling calculation about my marriage. My husband, Mark, and I spend about 4 hours spending time together, just us, each week. That's about 3.5% of our 119 waking hours. 3.5%. We're around each other plenty more hours, but together is a different story. Being in the same house does not necessarily constitute together. Neither does sitting next to each other watching a movie, driving in the car while I answer my email on my phone. Not together. The key word here is together, which is not just proximity, it's presence and focus. Back on the marriage therapist couch a few weeks ago, Dr. Sean leaned forward from his pillowy chair and asked, "When do you make time for togetherness?" "That's easy," I replied, whipping out my smartphone calendar. "We have date night on Saturdays, and we set aside 30 minutes every Monday and Thursday morning." "How efficient," he chortled. He didn't mean it as a compliment. I'll admit that Mark and I do have a very efficient marriage. He goes to the gym Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I get to go the other days. Whoever is not at the gym makes lunch and breakfast. At night, he cooks and I clean. Afterward, we take turns with each of the 2 kiddos. There are plenty more examples, each making a case that points to this hard truth. Our lives are parallel, but rarely intersect. Looking back, I can see exactly when our marriage diverged like 2 parallel railroad tracks. It was right after the birth of our second daughter, when divide and conquer became a mantra for a life buried by a bewildering avalanche of joyful yet arduous obligations. In the early years, doing anything as a family of 4 felt like so much work. So we would go back and forth between running errands and taking care of the kids. By some miracle, we each managed to squirrel away a few hours of self-care each week. Exercise, time with friends, a massage. But time spent together beyond date night often felt impractical, if not impossible. Divide and conquer was our way to survive, and it's exactly how we ended up with 4 hours of us time each week. Divide and conquer has been our reality for 7 years now. It worked well, until it didn't. You choose function over feeling, Dr. Sean said. He was right. My life is full of schedules, time blocks, checklists, and routines. It has order, reliability, and predictability. It's planned, organized, and efficient. But it also has joy and love and laughter. Our kids feel immensely cherished, knowing that they are steady and secure in our life. But Mark and I, well, we ended up as an item on a checklist. And a marriage can't survive as a box to be checked. What I realize now is that togetherness can be purposeless, mindless, directionless, and even fruitless, but is never without meaning, I can sit and chat with Mark while he cooks dinner, even though using that 30 minutes to return email or pick up around the house might make more sense. I can hop out of bed at 5 a.m. to start my day, or I can linger 30 minutes longer to snuggle. That 30 minutes isn't just a wasted part of my life. It is my life. Those clothes that need to be folded, we can fold them together. That lunch that we both need to eat, certainly we should eat it together a few times a week since we both work from home. Where I once felt time-starved and put upon, I've now started to cultivate a leaning in to all of the crossroads that present themselves in my life with Mark. Together is a commitment. It's a way of living and a state of mind. If my life is organized in an attempt to get as much done in a single day as possible, which it was, then efficiency matters a lot. But when boxes to be checked and to-do lists to be completed take a back seat to love and togetherness, how I work through my days starts to look and feel completely different. I'm open, available, and easy, and that feels good for me and for all the people around me. Efficiency is doing things right. Author Peter Drucker is quoted as saying, "Effectiveness is doing the right things." That's sage advice for managers, but vital advice for married couples. You just listened to the post titled, "Marriage is More Than Checking a Box on Your To-Do List" by Kristen Manieri with Gottman.com.
What's up? It's Kaylee Cuoco. When it comes to travel, we all have a happy place. I just went to my happy place. I just went to Maui, and it was truly amazing. Priceline has always been about getting you to your happy place for a happy price with deals you really can't find anywhere else. Like up to 60% off select hotels in Costa Rica or 5-star hotels for 2-star prices in Cabo.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Welcome to Wrexham. Celebrity owners Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds' small-town Welsh football club is fighting for a chance at promotion. These two Hollywood stars lead a team in the midst of history in the making, while dedicated staff and supporters hold on to a dream of returning the team and this working-class town in Wales to glory. FX's Welcome to Wrexham premieres September 12th on FX. Stream on Hulu.
And thanks so much to Kristen for this post today. Not terribly long, but very dense with important takeaways. One part that interested me was her therapist's comment, "You choose function over feeling." Now, a lot of us have a habit of doing this, right? Especially these days, it seems. And sometimes, like for Kristen and her husband Mark, it seems practical. For others, we might pride ourselves on being more analytical and practical, enjoying the parameters set forth that somehow, sometimes, seem absent when leading with our feelings. Well, if you are caught in this cycle and you don't want to be, sometimes it can help to think a layer deeper about functionality. And if you do so, you will likely find that it always lives under the umbrella of feeling. It's not a different thing. Kristen and Mark chose functionality because it soothed their feelings. It felt right for them. It felt safe for them. Ultimately, functionality was just a tactic deployed by their feelings. Does that make sense? So, when we remember this, it can help us keep in mind how powerful our feelings really are, and how everything we do, everything, regardless of how well executed it is ultimately done to serve our feelings. And at least for me, that notion helps me to cut out the middleman and constantly consider what my feelings are asking of me most directly. Something to think about, everyone. Now go off and philosophize as we say goodbye to another episode of ORD. Don't worry, though, there's a lot more where that came from. We are here every day, so I hope you will come back tomorrow for another important and thought-provoking post. That's where your optimal life awaits.